yesterday was giving flyers out for a couple of hours before Maghrib, and then when Maghrib came in I wanted to go back to the apartment to pray, and Sabor, he decided that we're going to pray Maghrib on the beach. Not exactly on the beach, but literally, if you can see here, just across the road there's like a piece of pathway in the middle of the road. So we actually decided to pray here. There's a nice spot just near the trees and it's under the light. And what happened was I started to give the adhan and a couple actually walked over and started talking to you.
Yeah, they basically were saying that you gave them a flyer earlier on, and they wanted to talk to us because they couldn't find us.
Yeah.
But then amongst the whole beach, they saw us you doing the azan. They walked across the road, came over, and they started speaking to me. And then when you finished the azan, that's when they started asking you about, you know, the questions.
Yeah, I mean, we had a conversation for about 30 minutes. They'd both been brought up as Catholics, but they had left the idea that Jesus is the Son of God and a part of God, and they just worship one God. So after speaking to them about Islam, subhanAllah, they both decided they want to accept Islam.
And as soon as they came, I just knew there's going to be I had a feeling there's going to be shahada.
Yeah, I mean, they seemed very sincere, and they actually invited us to their house today.
There for a course because of work. He says he thought it was interesting that you were handing out such a small piece of paper within, you know, among the crowd, and maybe not exactly the best way to get the attention, you know. And we read it was like a tactic scheme for a football game, and there was a sentence from the Quran in the middle. He was very surprised to see the sentence right in the middle. So we kind of discussed whether where you guys were from and why you were doing that, because no one in Brazil is Muslim. People don't know about the Quran, and so when we saw you again, I said, oh yes, we have to go talk to them and find out. So when we went all the way back, and when we returned, you were. And he was reading the book, and so he decided to talk to you. He says 90% of what you said makes sense. We have been imposed on being Catholics, like most Brazilians. Latin America is the most Catholic place in the world. Yes. He thinks it's confusing and it's too complex to impose a religion on everyone, you know, across the whole continent. It was very interesting and very surprising to know about Islam, because all we know is the stereotyped TV portrait of who Muslims are, and we had no idea that you would be, you know, so Muslims, and we have been taught by, you know, American films and TV series that they are the enemy, and it's horrible. And it was very, very pleasing, you know, gratifying to meet people who are just like us, and you're here, and you're at our house watching football, and you're very welcome, and it was great. I can't